So thank you so much for being here in the room and giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Orly. I'm a publisher development manager at Audience Network. Who, by a raise of hand here, doesn't know what Audience Network is? Amazing. I love you already. I've been at Facebook for just over a year and have been in the gaming industry for pretty much 8 years. So, what are we going to speak today? Today, the presentation is for two types of audiences. One is the expert in the room in gaming, the one that already figured it out and knows what he's doing. But I'm going to give you some tips. The second one is the type of publisher that is trying to get into gaming advertising and is thinking about his next game. So hopefully, I can give you some even more tips to make it work. Let's try and take a step back and kind of say, what is the mission of Audience Network? Basically, we're here to empower the publishers to create amazing apps and to drive revenues for them and make sure that they have a sustainable business. We do that by serving ads that are relevant to the users. And we also do that by having an abundance of advertisers. We have over 7 million advertisers on Facebook. If we look at the gaming industry, there is a clear winner. Okay, mobile, and I have my device here, actually became the console for game developers and for gamers overall. I know that I spent most of my time actually playing games on mobile, whereas somewhere around 20, 25 years ago, I actually spent all of my time on a PC. What are we going to talk about today? So there are three things that I'm going to share. One is numbers. The second one is products and product innovation that we're going to launch this year or already launched. And the third one is some best practices for you guys all to implement later on. OK, so let's start with the first one. We commissioned a research at Facebook, as we quite often do. And we spoke to plenty of game developers, app developers in our platform. And we asked them to show us what do they think about ads, what is the preferred format for them, how they implement ads, and so on and so forth. And here's what we heard from them. So in 2008, it was a crucial year for everyone because of several things. First, iPhone 3G came out, and that was the first iPhone that I acquired. 2008 was also a crucial year for Facebook, because that was the year that we actually started iterating with ads, trying to see if ads can be kind of a revenue stream for the company. It was also a year where publishers and game developers said, no way I'm putting ads into my games. Games were also very basic. If you think about the rest of the world, they still used BlackBerry, they still used Nokia devices. Who in the room here has BlackBerry or Nokia device? Wow, you surprised me. But you go. When we moved a little bit along the line and we came to 2013, we see the rise of free-to-play games. Okay, that means publishers started to creating their own games. Users were downloading them for free, but very quickly they were kind of spending a lot of their money and their well-earned money inside game in-app purchases. 2003, by the way, and I forgot to mention it, was another crucial year for Facebook. And that was the year where Facebook thought, OK, maybe we should go to mobile, and we should also add ads in mobile. And by the way, that wasn't a favorable decision across the company. Today, more than 95% of Facebook revenues are coming only from mobile. 2017 was a big shift in the way that we think, in the way that developers think, in the way that the ecosystem think. a new game category came into market, and that was the hyper-casual games. And the hyper-casual games brought a shift into the market. That shift was a kind of balance between in-app purchase and ads, and even a fully funded ad-based application. It also became the year where Facebook developed the rewarded video ad format. And by the way, we did not invent it. It was available in the market long before we actually made it work at Facebook. But what happened from 2017 until this day that it became the highest growth format on our platform. But not only, it became also the highest growth format that game developers such as you use. And when we asked the game developers, we heard from them that, for instance, their preferred model is kind of a combination between in-app purchase and ads. I love it how you all kind of immediately took your phones to take some pictures. That's amazing. So yeah, more than 55% of the game developers told us that they actually today prefer a hybrid model between in-app ads and in-app purchase, and that works best for them. Okay, so we also asked them what made this shift in your mind, because if we think 5 years ago, and even less, 3 years ago, most of the game developers, especially hardcore game developers, said, no way, we are absolutely not going to put any ads in our game because it's going to ruin our UX, UI, user engagement, in-app purchase, you name it. But what we see today is that actually over 80% of the game developers said that they prefer to implement rewarded video inside of their games, inside of their apps. Why is that? That was a kind of a hard question to answer. And what we saw was that rewarded video format kind of answered 3 components. The first one is that it gave something to the user. It gave value to the user. So when a user watched an ad and actually gave 30 seconds of his time inside the game, he got something in return. He either got maybe a life, maybe coin to progress inside of the game and not go back. Maybe he received an additional option to play the level again and not start it from all over. We also saw that the advertisers seen great results from rewarded video. The advertisers actually seen a lot of engagement from the users themselves on their ads. So that kind of brought a lot of the advertisers into the ecosystem of gaming. And obviously, it helped you guys, the app developers, the publishers, to earn more money because rewarded video CPMs have much higher CPMs, obviously, than the rest of the formats. What we've seen internally at Facebook, when looking across all of the formats that we serve at Audience Network, was that rewarded video format had 3 times faster growth in terms of revenues. So how do we look at all of this kind of ecosystem? It already started playing. Basically, when the advertiser has value and he shows an amazing campaign to the customer receives also value, and the customer engages with the ad itself. By engaging with the ad, advertiser sees that there is something in it, okay? He gets his own value back. So he puts more of his money back into this ecosystem of gaming, of rewarded video. When more advertisers come into this ecosystem, we have abundance of different type of campaigns, of plenty of advertisers. We have today 7 million of advertisers on Facebook. So when there is an increase of advertisers in the ecosystem, there is obviously an increase in terms of the competition on each and every placement that you have, on each and every app that you have. When there is an increase on the competition, there are better CPMs, because all of these advertisers are bidding simultaneously on each and every placement, and they increase their bids in order to win it. OK, so the next thing that I'm going to discuss today is actually some product milestones. And we're going to talk about 4 different things. The first one is profitable ROAS, profitable return on ad investment. Today, as an advertiser on Facebook, you can actually create a campaign with a KPI of in-app purchase, okay? Who here in the room has created some kind of campaign like this? Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for that. And that works well, okay? We have plenty of different KPIs. You guys can create your own KPIs inside of your campaign, and that works well. So you know roughly today that when you invest $5 in acquiring a user, you know maybe how much this user is going to generate in in-app purchase later on inside your app. But what you don't know today is that if you're going to acquire a user for $5, maybe he's not going to pay at all inside of your app, but he's going to watch a lot of ads because he likes your app and he plays there for a very long time. He engages with the ads, he engages with the app, and so on. So maybe, like me, as a user, I play a lot of games. I don't spend money in all of them. I spend money in some of them that are really, really hard to progress. But with the rest of the apps in the ecosystem, I kind of watch ads because I understand that this is a bargain. You guys create apps for free. We, as users, use them, and there is a bargain exchange here. So one of the most innovative products that we're working this year at Facebook Audience Network is to create this understanding when you acquire audiences that you can also acquire audience that engage with ads and will have a positive return on your investment just from ads and not only from in-app purchases. The second thing in product milestone that I'm going to discuss is rewarded video. So we all know that this is not a new format. And we all know that app developers and game developers really love this format. But what we did at Facebook Audience Network, we actually haven't really opened the opportunity of rewarded video to everyone, okay? We opened it up to very big gaming publishers, and that's it until now. But the changes that we're making is that actually we're opening rewarded video to everyone, all of the game developers in the industry, but not only. We're bringing on board news publishers, and we're bringing on board dating, fitness, travel publishers, any publisher that has an app that can create this bargain between the user and the app itself, so that when the user watches a rewarded video, he gets something. For instance, with news publishers, you can think about it as unlocking premium content. Instead of having a subscription-based model, you can have a rewarded video-based model for unlocking new content. Same goes for fitness application, for instance. Again, instead of having a registration model, you can have a mix between registration but also unlocking for free specific exercises by watching rewarded video. Some of the popular best practices that I wanted to share with you today on rewarded video and kind of get you thinking on how you should implement it. So basically, there are many places that you can think inside of your app on what works with rewarded video. It can be when a user is out of live. It can be when the game finished and there is a natural pause in the game. And this is very important to remember, not to disturb the user while he's playing and while he just wants to go to the next level of the game, but rather when there is a natural pause inside of the app. It can be as a multiplier, for instance, as I generated 500 coins after completing this level, but if I watch a video, I can multiply this 500 coins and get 1,000 of coins. And this is something that we've seen that users really, really like, and they engage with this type of practices. My recommendation always, and I work with so many app developers, but mainly game developers, and I mentioned to them is try to do an A/B test implement 3 to 4 different placements inside of your app for a rewarded video, and then test what works best, what kind of engagement you've seen from different users. And based on these A/B testing, and only if you have quantitative results, then you can take your decision. Many of the app developers actually take decisions based on how they use the app or how they play the game. But this is not how the rest of the world plays your game. So take that into account. The third milestone is playable ads. Again, we haven't really invented here the loop, yeah? Playable ads were playing long before Audience Network actually made them available on our platform. But what we did was we actually saw that there is an amazing engagement of users when showing them playable ads. Because playable ads gives you the opportunity to try a game in a very simple manner before you choose if to download it or not. And when we saw that playable ads were working, and we placed them first in a rewarded video format. So when we saw that they were working, and when we saw that advertisers had more value, users had more value, and also you guys, the publishers, had more value, we actually opened playable ads to 2 formats, both inside an interstitial and inside a rewarded video. They work a bit differently, so I'll show now the interstitial playable ad. So that's inside the game. I finished the game. I colored the app. I clicked on the button, and I have an interstitial ad that runs only for 5 seconds, but I get to see what the app is before choosing to download it. And I have click to play or an option to go straight to the store and download it. And it's not only us that are saying that playable ads really helped their business, but actually one of our developers, Xflow, they have seen a 107% increase in their revenues, much higher CPM, and better user experience because of how users engaged with the ads. So they absolutely loved this format and implemented it across board in all of their apps. Lastly, and this is something that I think everyone has been waiting for, at least what we hear from publishers, and this is bringing our brand demand into gaming. So as some of you, or hopefully many of you know, until now at Audience Network, we actually showed mainly either gaming campaigns or campaigns that had any specific install KPI, like Booking.com, Skyscanner, Shopify, and so on and so forth. But we have so many brand advertisers on our platform, okay, that their main KPI is actually retail, is actually purchases. And we see that working so well on Facebook, on Instagram, on Messenger, that we really wanted to bring this forward also to Audience Network. But we had to make sure before that bringing brand demand actually will have a gain. The 3 values that we care about: the value for the advertiser, the value for the user, and for the publisher. We kind of understood the last 2. Yeah, obviously the publisher will have more advertisers, the user will have more campaigns to interact with, but we wanted to make sure that also our brand advertisers have a significant value when bringing them to Audience Network. So we run, again, a test, like we always do at Facebook, for almost 6 months. And what we found out, that advertisers see higher increase in engagement also from gaming publishers and from just any publishers, basically on Audience Network. Doesn't have to be only gaming, but it's news, it's travel, it's fitness, and so on and so forth. So by the end of this year, we're going to bring more and more brand demand into Audience Network. The benefits of brand demand is really simple. There are more advertisers. When there are more advertisers, we can source more relevant ads into for the users. And when there are more relevant ads for the users engage better with them, which basically leads to higher CPM and higher revenues on your side. Another thing that I would really like to discuss with you today is about frequency cap. So what we found out is that many times publishers think that by adding more and more and more ads into their apps, they're actually going to receive more revenues. Sometimes it's true, but there is a limit to that. And the sweet spot is something that needs to be found, and the sweet spot says that by adding more ads after the sweet spot, actually, you're not generating more revenues, and your users might churn and leave your application. So we did, again, a research at Facebook. And what we've seen is, on the right side, we had a publisher that we tested with that had 3 ads per user as a frequency cap. On the left side, they increased it for 3 weeks to 5 ads per user. And what we've seen, and the graph, the bars are the revenues, okay? So what we've seen was actually that the revenues didn't increase that much when they increased the frequency cap to 5. They actually stayed pretty much the same. And so we asked and we digged in and we said, how can it be, okay? I mean, I almost doubled the amount of ads that I'm showing to a user, so why haven't my revenues really increased? And what we've seen was that there was a churn of users from their application because there were too many ads there. So when you create your application, if there is one thing that you need to leave your room with in mind, that would be try to incorporate ads at an early stage when developing your game or your app, so that when you already have ads inside the application, it is as if it's part of it. It is as if it's native to the app itself. Who, by a raise of hand, can tell me if they bought anything on Instagram from Instagram ads? Okay, not that many. I want to say that maybe in Ukraine we don't have that many ads on Instagram, or maybe you're not using Instagram. But at least from what we see in UK, in US, in Europe, we see so many purchases from the ads on Instagram and on Facebook. And many of the users even view the ads as part of a content because it is so native and seamlessly in terms of the look and feel of the app itself. So when you're developing your application, try to have that in mind. Try to think, where is a spot in my app that is as if it's part of the game? Where is a spot that a user will engage the most with this ad? And don't try to pitch on top of the layers of your application additional ads, because numbers sometimes don't mean higher revenues. Lastly, I want to share a story with you about a company called Tsesis Media. They are from Kiev. So I'm hoping that many of you will know them. They're also sitting here in the room, and I'm not sure that they knew that I'm going to do that. Tsesis Media, or Gentech, is a Ukrainian publisher. They're focusing on telling and sharing stories of people, stories that matter, stories that touch hearts. They have several divisions in Africa, in Kazakhstan, in Philippines, in Latam, Europe. Have I missed a location? No, I think I mentioned most of them. I'm working with the team closely, and we work both from media partnership, audience network, and also the advertising side. Today, I'll share a story about Amomama. Amomama is one of their teams that writes content for women, mainly women 40, 35 plus, in Latam, US, and Europe. And when the team started 2.5 years ago, there were actually 2 people that created this company, this part of this division in Tsesis Media. Today, there are over 150 employees. Yeah, that's it. You know that I'm not just saying numbers, but here there are people from the company. So please give applause to AmoMama, and let's watch their success story. The volume.
The main goal of AmoMama is to create a global women community, and Facebook as a platform helps us to do this.
We are focusing on women 45+, and to digitalize their conversation is the most inspirational thing in my job. We could never imagine that we can grow our business from 2% 2 years ago to 150%, to grow our communities from 0 people to 20 million followers on Facebook within 2 years. After we're using Facebook communities and audience network, we see great results.
In order to extend your audience, improve your content, you have to invest more resources. Audience network and Facebook provides you with instruments that help you to attract audience, to keep in touch with it, and to monetize your traffic.
As we started to work on AmoMama project, Audience Network was the most convenient platform for us. We saw the great results, and the advertising for our followers were the most relevant. Our ad ops team cut their time by a half during the work with ad optimization.
We invested into video production, mobile apps development, and Audience Network will help us to monetize videos with ad breaks, mobile applications with beautiful native ads.
With the help of Facebook and its instruments such as lookalike audience and audience insights, we were able to expand our business to new markets.
I love my work because of the impact our product has on our readers.
I'm really excited that Facebook supports us in this beautiful journey.
Thank you, guys, and a big thanks to AmoMama. I had a pleasure not only to work with them, grow their business, and actually to shoot this case study, but I actually had the pleasure to see a company that really cared, first of all, about the users. And I'm so happy that actually my colleagues here from Google mentioned this before. If you have one thing that you need to remember, please remember your audience. Please remember the users. Remember how they feel, how they interact with your apps, how they interact with your games, and what experiences they want. And the company really took that into mind, and they created stories and articles and applications that their users wanted. The money kind of followed because they created a base of audiences that really wanted to be there and read their articles and interact with them and share knowledge and share messages. So advertisers just followed that. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for being an amazing audience. I do have one question, though, because I still see that we have time. So, as you know, at Facebook, we love social media. Exactly. And we love doing selfies. So, can I please have you all raising your hands, shouting out, and having me selfie with you? Thank you, guys. Have an awesome event.